So if I pull this out, you'll probably see it a little better. You can see all those ridges there. That's called a textured card. Now, people akin the English texturing to like a cheese grater because it's very obvious that it is textured. The ridges are very easy to feel and notice, while the Japanese is much more subtle.
Japanese alternate art, their quality is normally really good. Their everything about it.
Again, hopefully without too much glare. You'll notice that the Japanese one is quite a bit more colorful. The English one's a lot more blue, while this one is kind of all over the place. And you'll also notice a few details that are harder to spot in the English card. For example, that ivy on the wall behind the character there to the left of her head. I didn't even notice it when I got the English card a few months ago, but yeah, so this is a detail that's easier to see now that the ridging is more subdued.
But every time I open up a booster pack of Crown Zenith, my eye twitches at the quality control. All of my cards, you're seeing every kind of error that you can think of. Damaged cards, poor centering, texture pattern issues, all kinds of holographic errors. Think of a potential concern that you can see with your packs, and you've experienced it in English cards. There's just so many issues with English cards.
If you're someone that likes perfect, pristine, beautiful cards, okay, then you probably want to be looking into Japanese. The Japanese quality control and the stock control since literally going back 20 years ago has been incredible.
Japan, they just have higher standards than what we have over here in the US. That's almost insulting to the US companies, but at the end of the day, they're giving us subpar products. This has been ongoing for years.
The English card market would die before the Japanese card market would. And the reason I give for that is, if you've ever been to Japan, it would be quickly apparent that Pokemon in Japan is not just a card thing, it's not just a video game, a plushie, a toy thing. It's in everyday life. You see it in the stores.
For decades, Pokemon has been more than just a game. It's become a worldwide phenomenon. A franchise that's transcended generations, languages, and borders. But when it comes to the trading card game, there's always been a debate lurking beneath the surface. Are Japanese Pokemon cards actually better than their English counterparts? It's a question that's fueled collectors' discussions for years, from the artwork and texture to the overall print quality. Something about Japanese cards just feels different. But why? Is it just hype? Or is there something deeper going on here? More importantly, should you be shifting your focus to Japanese cards for 2025 and beyond? To answer that, we need to go back to the beginning, where it all started. It all started here, before Pokemon took over the world, before trading cards became the powerhouse that they are today. The Pokemon trading card game launched in Japan in 1996. It was more to just a game. It was a phenomenon. Stores couldn't keep cards in stock. Pokemon centers were flooded with collectors, from kids, diehard fans, trying to complete their sets. From the very beginning, Japanese cards stood out. The artwork, the holo foils, the card textures, it all felt different, more polished, more refined. Japan is built on a culture of precision and perfection, from the way that their public transportation runs and how their vending machines are never broken. That attention to detail expands to a 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece of cardboard. Fast forward to 1999, where Pokemon explodes in the West. The trading card game finally arrives in the US and becomes an overnight success and a global obsession. But something was different. The cards weren't quite the same. The quality, a little off. The color, not as vibrant. The foiling, flatter. And it wasn't just our imagination. Why? Because the English Pokemon cards aren't printed in Japan. They're produced by a different company entirely. And for that, the quality took a hit. And the differences only became more noticeable over time. Here's the wild part. This wasn't just an early printing issue. English Pokemon cards still struggle with the same problems today. While English Pokemon cards are printed by Millennium Print Group, Japanese cards are produced under direct oversight by the Pokemon Company Japan. The result? Sharper cuts, near perfect centering, richer colors, and a premium feel in hand. Now, Millennium prints cards for a multitude of trading card games, and this means that they do a couple things really good: speed and volume. And that causes precision to take a hit. This causes a higher error rate, more misprints, off-center cuts, and lower grade cards right out of the pack. And this fact alone is exactly why Japanese cards has a much higher chance of grading a PSA 10. The quality is simply more consistent, and yet English cards tend to be worth more. But why? Despite their lower quality, English Pokemon cards still command higher prices in the secondary market, and the reason is quite simple. It's demand. In the West, Pokemon cards have always been collected in English first. That means the nostalgia factor is tied to English cards, not Japanese. More people want them. More people are willing to pay for them. Then there's grading. Since English cards are harder to grade PSA 10, they instantly become more valuable. Scarcity equals higher prices. Japanese cards, due to their quality, often have many 10s in circulation, keeping their value low. So while Japanese cards might have a superior product, English Pokemon cards still hold a higher financial value. For now. So where does this leave us in 2025? Should you ditch the English Pokemon cards for their Japanese counterparts? Well, here's the truth. It quite honestly depends on exactly what you're going for. If you want better quality, higher grading chances, and a more premium feel, Japanese cards are 100% the way to go. And with English sets becoming harder and harder to obtain, especially at retail pricing, more collectors are naturally gravitating towards their Japanese counterparts, simply out of necessity, without realizing the massive upgrade in quality that they're actually getting. Personally, I'm still going to be on the hunt for some good old English Pokemon cards. But I think I'm going to start carving out a little section in my collection for the original Pokémon monsters. Because at the end of the day, Pokemon started in Japan. And in some ways, the best parts of it still lives there. Sayonara. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive of Japanese cards versus English cards. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification for more deep dives along with a few other challenges that we have on the channel. Speaking of challenges, I am taking on the two biggest challenges that I've ever taken on in the world of my personal Pokemon collecting. Here, you can try to see me trade up from the McDonald's promo packs to get a Holy Grail Charizard first edition. Well, not necessarily first edition, base set. And if you're interested to see how I build a master set, you can check out this video here, where I'm attempting to complete an entire master set of one of the hardest modern sets to collect, Prismatic Evolutions. Well, those are the plugs. Until next time, gym trainers, I will see you in the next one.